It's the George Plaster Show. 30 years of the best sports talk in Middle Tennessee. Featuring Tennessee Sports Hall of Famer Watson Brown. And it's a shame it's taken this long to get an introduction for this Tennessee Sports Hall of Famer, Kelly Holcomb, along with young gun Billy Derrick. And now, here's your host, George Plaster.
Well, hello again, everybody. Welcome in, even though my camera doesn't want to work the way I want it to. Welcome to a crazy Tuesday in Nashville, Tennessee, where the snow has ended, but it's left about six to 8 inches of complete mess that we're going to be dealing with for the entire week. By the way, one little schedule change. Tennessee-Florida game tonight has been moved to 4 o'clock Central Time. So shortly after we get off the air, if you're watching us live, Tennessee-Florida, which was originally scheduled for 5:30, is now a 4 o'clock game, and I'm guessing that's because of weather. Let's say hello first to Billy Derrick, who tried like the devil to make all this work for me. Billy, thank you. I have no idea what the hell's going on.
Well, that's okay, George. We met at work yesterday, but as Kelly said before we got on, it actually looks and sounds maybe even a little bit better because it's on the phone. So maybe that's a good thing for us.
Is that so?
Yeah. But getting you lined up with all three of us, that might be interesting. You might be fooling with that old phone the whole show.
Yeah.
There's Kelly.
That's asking a lot, Billy, for him.
About half of me.
Billy, that's asking a lot for him to fix that.
Yeah. I think I understand that.
Lighten up there. So when we got off the air yesterday, both of you watched the Buffalo game?
Yeah.
Yep.
Go Bills.
Were y'all not amazed at how many people must have helped get that stadium ready?
Crazy, man. They had fans in there with snow shovels, man, getting that stuff out. And then you saw one guy with his family just chugging through, trying to get through the aisleway, which is crazy, man. I told you, man, those people show up. They show up and show out up there, man. They love it. It's crazy.
I love it.
I mean, yeah, the Bills, honestly, it didn't even look like, I mean, there was snow everywhere and they were throwing the snow everywhere. But, I mean, it looked like a sunny day, and then until you did see that snow flying everywhere after each touchdown, which I think is one of the better scenes. I'm kind of sad they're getting a dome I love seeing that after their touchdowns.
Yeah. Well, I think we all know that part. Much like Kansas City, they just said, "Screw it, we're here."
Yeah,
we're here, and it's also awesome too when George Pickens goes to the end zone and he's trying to catch a ball and he gets the anonymous snowball thrown at him, which is awesome.
It's awesome unless you get hit by
it. That's right.
Yeah.
Well, here in Nashville, George, I wanted to get this out. The official snowfall accumulation was 7.8 inches. And of that total, 6.3 inches occurred yesterday. That broke the daily snowfall record for January 15th. The normal annual snowfall is about 4.7 inches. So we got more than an entire winter's worth of snow in just one event. So this is historic.
It's pretty amazing.
George,
I mean,
this is gonna be tough.
Here's what's goofy. So they've been telling us that this would be a snowy winter, but they're also telling us, I saw this earlier before we came on, that next week at some point we will be well above average in temperature.
Crazy, man.
Yeah, it's not going to warm up till later this weekend. I mean, it snow's going to be here for a little bit. George, you mentioned
I lived up north for 13 years, and if I ever saw snow again, it'd be too soon. I hate it.
It's awful.
Well, I actually drove in it today.
Put your big boy pants on. You got outside in it. Good.
Absolutely. The main road, in this case, Harding Road, was fine. About 1.5 out of the 2 lanes either way were clear. The side streets are exactly what you would figure they would be. And so there.
Yeah, it wasn't too bad. I got out today too. The neighborhood is still bad. I think most neighborhoods are bad. But I mean, I don't even want to try to get on the interstate until maybe tomorrow. But yeah, George, you did mention the Bills. Just not really dominant. I mean, it didn't really feel like the Steelers had a shot for most of it. Bills end up winning 31-17. I think the bigger result yesterday was the Bucs just dismantling the Eagles 32-9. And to compound it, there's questions about Sirianni's future. Jason Kelce told his teammates he's retiring, a huge piece to their team. Kelly, I couldn't believe how dominant the Eagles were. Or the Bucs were.
You're talking about the Bucs, yeah.
The Bucs,
I don't know. There's obviously some internal struggles going on in Philly, man. How do you start the season 10-1, got the best record, and then you lose 6 of the last 7? That's really they're just I don't know. There's something going on, and it may be, the old fella that left here that everybody was upset about that are still talking about. As a quarterback, it'd be hard to play for him because I watch him so many times doing this. Like, he's the only guy on the team, and I need the ball every play. Hey, Hoss, there's only one ball. You know what I'm saying? So I don't know, but there's something internally going on, and they do not look good, man. I don't know what it is, but they didn't look good. I thought Baker Mayfield played really well. I really did. I thought he threw the ball well. He had a bunch of drops too. I mean, some of those drops were huge. I mean, if Mike Evans catches that one ball, I mean, they score. So, they got to clean those drops up. I mean, that was a bunch, but they looked pretty good yesterday. I was happy for T. Bowles.
Kelly, what do you think has revitalized Baker Mayfield?
I think what they said on the broadcast last night, I think that when he went out to L.A., Sean McVay said, "Hey, man, we got 5 games left. Just be you." And they said that, Troy was talking about it last night on the broadcast, talking about that when he went, I guess he's talking about Cleveland and some of the other places that he went, that people said, you need to calm that down a little bit. But I don't understand how you calm. That's his personality. That's his character. And I think he got away from that because he was trying to fit into something that he wasn't from coaches. And when he said it was a revelation when he went to Sean McVay said, "I want Baker Mayfield. I want you to be you. Don't worry about what other people think. Be you. Go out, have fun, and play ball. And that's what he's doing right now. I mean, he looked like his Oklahoma days last night. He was accurate. He was throwing the ball really well, getting rid of the ball. He does a really good job. And in the National Football League, that's what you have to do. You have to go through your reads, and you have to figure out where you're going, make a decision, and then you have to throw the football. And he's done really well at that, and he did it really good last night.
Billy, I'm with Kelly. There is something that has gone seriously wrong in Philly's locker room. I'll be interested in when Tony Basilio joins us as to what the speculation is in Philly that has gone wrong, because there's something. You don't just
Absolutely
go from what they were to this. There's no way.
No, and I'm excited for Tony, and so is Chris on YouTube. He said Tony should be in prime form since his Eagles lost. Can't wait. So we'll it'll be might get an interesting Tony Basilio today. But I wanted to throw this out there too, guys. For the 5th time in the Super Bowl era, a division sent multiple teams to the playoffs, only to have both never hold a single lead. The last time it happened, the same 2 teams from the NFC East, the Cowboys and the Eagles. They were both flops in this year's playoffs, and they were flops in 2021. Didn't even hold a single lead. And it's crazy that the Bucs, out of the division that we thought was the worst division in football, just handles the Eagles. So I thought that was a nugget that I should throw
Billy,
out there.
both will end up exploding with something before the snow melts here.
You're probably right. But that sets up this weekend, the divisional round. 2 games Saturday, 2 on Sunday. Texans and Ravens in Baltimore. We'll get to these later. Packers and Niners Saturday night, and then Bucs Lions on Sunday at 2:00, and then Chiefs Bills, Mahomes and Allen on Sunday. So we'll see what happens when those 2 get together. Also, Bill Belichick has interviewed for the Falcons job. His first interview since leaving New England. Since Arthur Blank took over as the owner, he has never hired a coach with prior NFL head coaching experience. So this will be interesting. See if Belichick lands in Atlanta.
Kelly, I got 2 theories on why he's so hot to trot with Atlanta. Apparently, he thinks it's one or the other. Either he thinks they're a quarterback away from being pretty good.
They are.
Or he's been worried because of his age that he better take whatever is out there. I don't agree with that. I think both Dallas and Philly will end up wanting to talk to him. I don't doubt San Diego will want to. You know, I don't think people care that he's 72 or 73.
Yeah, I don't think that factors into it either, George, with the amount of success that he's had. And I just thought of this because I've been watching all that stuff this morning, talking about, if something happens at Dallas or something happens at Philly. I understand that, but also if you look at Atlanta, I think they've got a crop of good young players, and they're a quarterback away. I really do. And I think Arthur Blank would probably throw the kitchen sink at Bill Belichick and say, hey, you take it over. And I think that's – Billy just talked about it. They've never had a head coach with head coaching experience. So, I think Arthur Blank wants to try to get that city going again, that team, that organization. I think he would throw the kitchen sink. I think he would give him anything he wanted. Now, whether he wants to be in control of all that anymore, I don't know. But I think Arthur Blank, whatever he wants, you got.
Well, in the college side of things, there's a lot of pieces of news in the college side of things actually to get to. This one's interesting. South Alabama's Kane Womack is joining the Alabama staff to be their defensive coordinator. Yeah. He was with Kalen DeBoer at Indiana. DeBoer was the OC, Womack was the DC, and now they're basically going to be doing the same thing at Alabama. He's 36 years old. He just finished his 3rd year at South Alabama. They won 10 games in 2022. And, guys, this is interesting. I mean, this continues a theme of, Kelly, these coaches leaving, G5 schools, whether it's to become a head coach at the Power 5 level or a coordinator. These G5 schools they're struggling.
Like, I'll be honest with you now. Jameson and them played South Alabama this past year, and they lost their quarterback early in the season, but they're very well coached, and that comes from the head coach. So, I told y'all I had a really good friend who's a Bama fan, and he said, what do you think about this guy? And I'm like, I don't even know who that guy is. And he was like, did y'all play South Alabama? I said, I don't keep up with it like that. I said, yeah, we played South Alabama. He said, he's the head coach. And I'm like, well, they're really well coached. So I was when we watched them, I mean, it took everything that Troy had to beat them with a backup quarterback, and I think he's a freshman. So that guy can coach.
Billy, it tells you two things. Number one, Alabama can pay an offensive coordinator more than South Alabama can pay a head coach. And secondly, he's decided that the path to getting a big job is easier as the OC at Alabama than it is as the head coach at South Alabama.
That's where we're at. DC, yeah.
Yeah, he's the DC.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Also, no, you're good. Also, guys, Arizona, right? Kind of up a creek a little bit with Jed Fish heading to Washington. They quickly found their guy from San Jose State, Brent Brennan. Never heard of him either. He signed a 5-year deal with Arizona. He just finished his 7th year with the Spartans, and he's done a really good job. 3 bowl appearances in the last 4 years. Again, don't know much about him, but Arizona, they, in the line of schools that kind of had it tough, it went Alabama, snagging DeBoer from Washington. Washington took Fish from Arizona, and now Arizona, I don't know if they'll still be as good as they were last year. I heard they're going to keep their quarterback and their receiver, Noah Fafita, and one of their really good receivers, McMillan. But it'll be interesting to see without Fish what Arizona does. So, want to get that out there.
Billy, let me throw one out there on that. I've seen this guy wildly enthusiastic. If you think back a little bit, I'm not saying this is going to happen, but one of the most successful coaches in San Jose recent history is Mike McIntyre, now the head coach at FIU.
Oh.
It would not shock me if Mike looks into that to see whether they'd have him back, because it was a place he had big-time success. It got him the Colorado job.
Wow. Didn't know that.
Yeah.
Keep tabs on that. Also, weird story here. Maryland quarterback Talia Tungavailoa. He has been denied his waiver for an extra year of eligibility. He's going to enter the NFL draft. This would have been his 7th year of college football. And Pete Thamel, it's interesting. Thamel said that the eligibility waiver was denied despite Nick Saban in Alabama writing a strong plea to the NCAA. So Saban, of course, with coaching Tua, I'm sure knows the family well, and he wanted to get Talia another year of college football. Didn't work out. But to me, guys, we need to stop this 7 and 8 years. I mean, give me a break. I mean, I don't know that this is the worst thing in the world.
I'll be honest with you. If I could have stayed 7 and 8 years, man, and had a good time, I'm in.
Okay,
I ain't gonna go into the real world just yet.
Okay, Van.
You'd have gotten a diploma.
That's right. I could have got 3 or 4 diplomas by then.
Really. The NCAA is so mad at Michigan that they've screwed this kid over.
Just trying to screw the people that Michigan played over. That's awesome.
Well, here's another piece. Former Auburn and Oregon quarterback Robbie Ashford has committed to South Carolina. So he is at his 3rd school. Running quarterback, not the best thrower. We'll see if I'll be interested to see if he's the starter over there.
So I got to ask you a question to both of y'all. So this transfer portal deal, like I thought it was a one-time, like these guys are transferring every year now. What's the deal? There's no penalties?
Well, that's a good question, Kelly, because I thought, the window had ended for this. The first window had ended, but there was, they opened it back up for schools like Alabama, Washington, because they lost their coach, Arizona too. But Auburn, I guess because he committed, I don't know. I mean, I don't even pretend to know the different rules they've got. I know George probably doesn't either.
No,
That was a
I go
one-time
back
transfer.
I go back to the Rose Bowl parade with the transfer portal float sponsored by Dr. Pepper.
Sponsored by JT Daniels.
They need more than just JT Daniels on that float. So they're starting to get a few more that they can invite next year.
Yeah, the JT's got some company now. George, you mentioned that Florida-Tennessee game. We got a good slate of SEC action tonight. 4:00, Florida at Tennessee. Crowd will probably be sparse because it's been snowing up in Knoxville too. 6:00, Missouri at Alabama. 8:00, Georgia at South Carolina. A&M at Arkansas tonight as well. So some good basketball. And the Preds were in action last night and got walloped 4-1 in Vegas. Another tough one out west on Thursday against the Kings. The West Coast trip continues on Saturday in Arizona at 2:00. So, George, they need to get at least one of these in this trip, maybe even two.
Yeah, the West Coast swing is tough. I'm not surprised. They looked exhausted Saturday night at the end of the Islander game. I have no idea how they pulled that out. And then play a day and a half later in Vegas. That's a tough piece of schedule. 3 games in 4 days. And when you get to that third game, not much left in the tank.
It's tough. Willie's out there too, isn't he?
Yeah, now I'm sure he had enough in his tank. If I'd been out there, I'd have had plenty of energy.
Well, that's all I got, George.
Okay, after the break, we're going to go to Knoxville, find out how much snow they have gotten. Tony Basilio will join us. We'll talk to him about his visit to Nashville to see the Preds on Saturday night and what somebody from Knoxville may have thought about it. And we've got a lot more, obviously. So stick around. This is the George Plaster Show in the snow.
It was the most horrible experience that any mother could ever go through. I knew that I needed to get help. My friend, she immediately said, "You need to call Bart Durham." And you guys were there within an hour. You guys are like family for us.
Yeah, sure is nice to connect with the people that you're doing your best to help.
As the trusted premier custom home builder in Middle Tennessee, Donnelly Timmons has over 20 years of experience in the industry. Whether you're looking to build your dream home or renovate your current home, their team will ensure that every client and every remodel is unique, luxurious, and completed on time within budget. Founders Dustin Timmons and Joey Donnelly have over 25 years of construction experience in the Nashville area. Together, they have completed projects in Forest Hills, Oak Hill, Green Hills, Franklin, and Brentwood. Dustin and Joey believe that communication is the most important aspect of all construction projects. Therefore, they personally manage each project themselves and are involved in job site activities on a daily basis. Their commitment to quality and integrity has earned them an outstanding reputation among their clients. Contact them to set an appointment for a free consultation or to view some of their completed projects. Give them a call at 615-456-7983 or log on to DonnellyTimmons.com.
I'm Watson Brown.
I'm Kelly Holcomb.
I'm Billy Derrick.
We're the George Plaster Show. We've been Nashville's best sports talk for the last 30 years. And you know what? We still are.
Catch us live weekdays from 2 to 4 p.m. Central Time in Nashville on YouTube, Twitter, and Facebook. Also, the podcast version is available on Spotify and Apple Podcasts.
Looking for more than just awards and trophies? Southern Trophy House is your one-stop solution. For over 60 years, their team has created lasting impressions with a personalized touch. From embroidery to screen-printed apparel to corporate awards, signs, and name badges, they have everything you need to keep your brand shining bright. With their knowledgeable customer service team, you can relax as they create, produce, pack, and ship merchandise and awards on time and on budget. That includes etched crystal awards, custom cut acrylic, name badges, embroidered Richardson ball caps, banners, screen printed t-shirts, laser engraved Yeti cups, and knives. Recognize your hardworking team from Southern Trophy House, where they do their best to help you recognize your best. Located at 2705 Nolensville Pike in Nashville, give them a holler, 615-256-7295. Visit southerntrophy.com. Southern Trophy House, for all your personalization and recognition needs.
Okay, we are back, and I assume we're headed to Knoxville unless I get a signal otherwise from Billy. Tony Basilio, there he is, joins us for his weekly visit. Tony, I'm going to start totally different than where you – oh, look at that. I love it. You were in Nashville Saturday. Number one, yes. Just because maybe we're a little too close to the forest to see the trees, what was it like for you? And in Knoxville, we know the Titans get talked about. What about the Preds?
Man, I love – well, you know, Pete Weber is a fixture playoff time on my deal. But I got to say, I was telling people yesterday, George, first of all, thank you for the treat. And I so enjoyed being with you this weekend. And
ditto.
You know, when we got to hang out for a few hours before that game and break it down scientifically and break bread, and you were seen in public with me, I knew we were going to have a major storm. You being the Hall of Fame guy that you are, I knew it would set off titanic shift of the tectonic plates and the storm that would emerge from that. But, man, it was really great. I would recommend that to anybody going to see a Nashville Predator game. You talk about something done really well. And I was talking about that today on the really the last couple days on the air. But I was down there when they had the huge playoff run, and Pete snuck me and my son into the building way back when. And there's nothing like playoff hockey. But I was telling you the other night, a close game like that when we sat together for, there's just something about any kind of sporting event where it's low scoring, and football games when it's 0-0 or 7-7 in the fourth quarter, and you know that quarterback like Kelly's over there struggling. To me, it's very, very fun product because every game, every play, hinges on the game itself. So it's fun to watch. Thank you, George, for that.
Oh, absolutely. Now I got to tell you, Billy was a total simpleton about it and made the comment yesterday that 0-0 into the third period was dull. I was so disappointed in his attitude.
Well, I would get it. You know, I was looking at, and I love your cast and crew, but you know, Watson Brown would never say that. Who we saw on that lead in, you know, he just wouldn't. He knows the nuances of the sport, of these sports we follow.
How much snow did y'all get?
8.5 inches. And a low of 3 tonight. Ooh. And they moved Tennessee's basketball game up to 5 Eastern, which I don't understand, but I encourage fans today that had tickets to the game to call over to UT and see if they'll give them a voucher or prorate it back on their next ticket package. Kelly, how do you think that's going to go? There's no chance of that happening, is there?
Chance. They got no shot.
0.
The Tony Basilio exemption.
Yes. Well, you know, George, we're always in our business. We're always looking out for the fan. And Danny White in his business, they're always looking for a way to get money out of the fan. So
it's all about this.
It's kind of the same kind of the same. Stop and think about it.
So, did you watch EAGLES last night?
Yeah, and then I turned on to FLYERS in the second half because at the end of the day, my son and I were watching it together, snowed in here, and we both kind of agreed that if you're going to play that level of defense, when you see veteran NFL guys in the secondary do this, and they don't try to, they're whiffing on tackles, you've quit. I don't know why you've quit. I don't relate to quitting. I don't quit in my life. I don't quit during the day. But maybe these guys just make so much money that they don't want to, they played in the Super Bowl last year and the hell with it. But those guys quit last night. And this young head coach is going to get fired probably. And the truth is his general manager failed him this year. And then they forced him to change defensive coordinators after a couple of rough games when they were still at that point a 10-3 football team. And their season cratered after that, literally cratered when he put Matt Patricia in there. Matt Patricia, you talk about a guy with some loser energy around him. He couldn't get dipped into Bill Belichick dipped enough to get that off of him. What a loser.
He has a pencil in his ear.
He is just a complete loser. I mean, look at the guy.
Don't you think that in spite of that part of it, there's also some locker room component here that has gone completely south?
Well, yeah, I mean, it's like Kelly said, when you lose that many games in that league, the thing that's always got me about the NFL is Troy Aikman said this last night, which Troy Aikman was extremely honest last night. He said, look, I was in some of these locker rooms where you knew, hey, this thing's over. Now, the season says you still have games to play, this, that, and the other. He said, but I've been in some locker rooms where it's just over. And for the Eagles, that's pretty much what happened several weeks ago, guys.
Saturday, Georgia thought it was over with a double-digit lead on Tennessee, and then Dalton Connect went wild. Tony, it just seems like he's an offensive piece of the puzzle that they really have not had in a while.
He's an offensive piece of the puzzle that nobody in college basketball has, George. And they're allowing more freedom of movement this year in that the block charge call, if you'll notice, the game of college basketball is a lot more open than it was because their point of emphasis this year is to allow more freedom of movement. Yep. What a perfect year to acquire a guy like this to play his final season. He was unstoppable the other day. Tennessee trailed by 11 with 6 minutes left and went on a 20-4 run to basically beat Georgia by several scores, which is just crazy. I mean, the way that game ended. But he is so special, George. He's just so special.
And the thing about that win, Georgia is considerably better.
No doubt. I mean,
they're a good crowd too.
Yeah, and they had a great crowd, Bill. You know what they did in their gym, which is interesting? Instead of taking their tickets, because they're in a lull, right now, they decided to gamble and allow their student body to have the best tickets in the middle of the floor and kind of move everybody else around. And guess what's happened? They've gotten a real home court type advantage. One of my callers called in yesterday and who lives down in that area and went to the game kind of on a lark. And he said he couldn't believe, he was there several years ago. He could not believe the home court advantage that Georgia enjoyed versus just a few years ago. And it was just from making that one change, putting the students right on top of the action.
Wow. Because that place, I mean, to be honest, even though it's been renovated, it's kind of a dump.
Sure.
And I've always contended that if Georgia basketball is ever really going to get serious, they got to build a new place. But that's interesting. I had not heard that.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know why everybody doesn't do that.
I don't know why everybody doesn't do it. That's right. Because here's the thing. You're making so much TV money, but these guys, like I was saying before, and I was saying in jest, Tennessee fans ought to call overnight with the inclement weather and say, hey, cover my tickets. But really, those schools ought to give people a voucher for winter weather. If you can't get down there, but they'll never do that because it's so strange. If you'd have told me 30 years ago when I was a kid just starting in this, that we'd have the kind of money in it right now, I would not have thought they would still be kind of gouging the live fan. But because you would think that if exponentially your money increased that much from television, you would think at some point you'd give a ticket buyer a break, but it hadn't happened yet.
No, and the truth of it is it's not going to. Kelly, say hello to Tony.
Hey, what's up, man? How you doing?
Kelly, I'm surviving, man. You been out sledding?
Oh, no. You know what? When my kids were here, I was telling somebody today, I called one of the old farts in the neighborhood here, and I said, do you need me to go get you some milk and eggs and some bread and stuff? And he was like, no, I'm here. He said, I've been playing a board game with my wife. And I'm like, you are really bored.
Do you do that? Watch out for people and go to the store for them and that sort of thing. That's your.
I would, absolutely. I mean, I like Tim. I mean, some of the guys in my neighborhood, there's not many, but I enjoy them, and absolutely, because I lived up north for 13 years, and I'm not a big fan of snow anymore. But you just got to get out in it, man. You just got to do, just live life. Just go, let's go. Because when you're around in the mid-state here, y'all are probably a little different up there, but everything in the store is gone. They're acting like Armageddon is coming, and I'm like, good gracious, y'all! It's snow,
Well, I have a totally different perspective on that. Since I've lived here as long as I have, I wouldn't dare leave my house. First of all, I don't trust myself driving, but I really wouldn't trust somebody like you that can't wait to get in their car during a snowstorm. No offense to you.
Get out in it, man. That's just what it is. Well, hey, how about you calling the Mississippi State game the other day? You knew it, didn't you? What gave you so much? Yeah, what gave you so much? You were just confident in that was going to happen.
Well, Fred's giving me some love here on the telecast. I'll say this. I'm a big believer in college hoops and spots. And generally, and I follow a lot of my gambling buddies that know when to hold them and when to fold them. Like Tennessee tonight, small crowd. Set of 7 o'clock start, 5 o'clock start. Florida has trouble defending people. Florida's been waiting all year to put it together. They finally did over the weekend against Arkansas. The truth about this game here is that if I were playing a side, I would take Florida plus those 9.5. I liked it better at 10, which is where it opened. But the reality is, Kelly, that I don't know what's going on with me, but I've been like smoking hot in my picks. Like, for instance, I told George Saturday that the Cowboys were going to get beat on Sunday. And he looked at me like I had 3 heads. Not only did they get beat, they got blown away. I mean, they got blown out. And I also knew my Eagles were going home. Like yesterday, I was on the air taunting Cowboy fans because I'm an Eagles fan, whatever. We're just having fun. And I said, look, the good news for you is we're going to be right there with you tonight. We're going to be right there with you. Did you guys hear that in the NFL playoffs, in that whole round, there was only one game with a lead change in it?
Wow.
And it was the one game, George, you and I watched. Because I walked in with you, and Cleveland was winning. And George looked so down the dumps because he was on the other side in that one. And
he was also on the Cowboys.
I know, and he told me that. And I said, George, bad news for you, buddy. You're not I don't know what it is about me, Kelly, but I proclaimed myself on my show yesterday. I gave myself a mafia nickname, Hot Tony. And my partner, Bino, all these many years said I was thinking Fat Tony. After my doctor told you need to lose some weight.
What are you, a bookie, man?
Do what?
Are you a bookie?
No, hell no. A bookie.
Hey, well, do you really think Nick Sirianni is going to get fired?
Yes.
Do you really? After 1 year coming off the Super Bowl run, you think he's going to get fired?
Mm-hmm. That's how the NFL goes. That's how Jerry Glanville used to say the players not for long, but it's like that with coaches now, because what you've got now is you've got a league where general managers and owners play fantasy football with these coaches, and they're hiring kids. Kelly, some of these guys that coach look like they couldn't ride half the rides at Dollywood. I mean, look at these people. But they're head coaches. Look how young they are. Ask yourself, what happened to the mid-40s, the 50-year-old guy that used to get hired? Why are they hiring 20-something kids now? Early 30s. Because they can control them. That's the whole deal. So they can control, and that's why they gave him a job, so they can control him. And they push his buttons, and, the batteries are low, and it's time to go get another one. Yeah, I do think they're going to fire him. I do.
So George brought it up. Yeah.
He's going to get a really good buyout out of the deal, and then somebody else is going to hire him because he got a team to a Super Bowl.
Yeah.
Yeah, because that was the great thing when I was in Cleveland. We got brought in on a Tuesday, and Butch Davis, he got up there crying. He was doing all that, and I'm like, I wanted to raise my hand and say, hey, man, you're getting paid $12 million to lead today. We got to stay in this cesspool. So, like, if I knew I was going to get fired, I'd be hard to deal with. If I'm Nick Sirianni and I know I'm going to get fired, I'm going to be hard to deal with. Like, you want to talk to me? I ain't talking to you. It's just I would be awful, But with that being said, Tony, like, do you think that the Matt Patricia deal was one of the big deals that they finally figured out, like, this dude's not running the team? And, like, that last night was really bad. You talked about it. Like, their tackling, it looked like they just gave up.
They didn't try. And that's when I started watching hockey. Like, people think I'm kidding. Flyers played at St. Louis last night. I would much rather watch one of my teams try than a team go through the motions. I don't care if it's the NFL playoffs, because at that point you've checked out. So if you check out, I can check out. That's kind of I hate that in sports. I don't mind teams losing. You lose anytime you want. I mean, we love competition. Those of us that are called to sport, either to play, watch, what have you, we appreciate world-class athletes like yourself, Kelly, that, made all the sacrifices to get to where you got, to do what you did. And why, if you make all those sacrifices? I realize they're making huge amounts of money. I realize they're driving great cars. I realize they're living in huge houses. I realize they go on great vacations. Why wouldn't you try in a playoff game? Why wouldn't you try? Explain that to me.
No, man, I really don't. That disgusts me when that happened. I can remember me, there was a couple of times when I was starting and the game was out of hand. I was still trying to throw the ball downfield. And I had a bunch of interceptions like that. My quarterback coach came to me after one of them, and he goes, we've already lost the game. Why are you still doing that? And I just, like, I don't have that mentality. I'm always going to keep trying, Coach. I don't want to give up. I understand that we're down by 20. I get it. But, like, that's just not my mentality. So it kind of makes me sick when I see guys doing that. I'll be honest with you.
When you're right. And look, I mean, the thing that you and I know and George knows is that life is kind of a finite thing. And the one thing that you tell any kid is don't be afraid to dream. And when you get an opportunity to do something, do it. Do it. But these guys have an opportunity. They're not going to be playing for forever. And one day they're going to think, man, we could have tried down there in Tampa, but I didn't feel like tackling that night. I mean, it's weird. I can't figure that out. It's kind of like in baseball, you watch guys throw at bats away. I'm a baseball fan. When I was a kid and you struck out, you don't want to go back to the dugout. People be looking at you like, what do you slept, you slept the bases loaded and you struck out. I mean, what do you do? Today, it's like, oh, well, I struck out. Get them next time. Who cares? It's weird.
George, my last one. What did you think about a Vol for Life, which I don't understand this Vol for Life garbage, but that's for another day.
You would never understand it. You would never understand it, but go ahead.
I don't get it. I feel like I'm going down to the VFW and it says VFL and I'm having me a steak dinner with all the vets, dude. Like every time I see VFL, it makes me sick. Like, what do you think about Gerard Mayo getting the head coaching job for the New England Patriots?
Kelly, you know him? You ever met him?
I do not. I do not. I'm wondering where that came from. He's obviously a really good football coach.
Philip Fulmer has this weird thing with his coaching tree. He doesn't have a coach out there doing anything, right? But he now has 3 former players. He's got Bo Hardigree, who came here as sort of a tennis player, backup quarterback guy who's ascended to a coordinator in the NFL. He's got Jim Bob Cooter, another one, backup quarterback who ascended to a coordinator level in the NFL. And now Gerard Mayo, a former player. Mayo was the type of guy that the minute he walked on campus, he had a presence about him as a player. And he was identified pretty early on as a player by Bill Belichick as a guy, hey, I'm going to groom him. And he stayed in that system, and he stayed and he stayed and he stayed and he waited and he waited. And I wish he had more football team and a better opportunity in front of him. Hopefully they get lucky in a few drafts and he can win, because he's really a strong presence and a great guy. And he's a Tennessee trivia question. He's the first guy to ever get a full-time head coaching job from the VFL family tree. And Fulmer has this weird coaching tree where there are no branches on it, but several like seedlings that hit the ground and grow into plants. Are they, George, if you played for somebody, is that a coaching tree or is that something entirely? I'm asking. I don't know how to quantify that.
It's the start. Billy, for instance, it is part of my broadcast tree.
Yeah.
But I heard Saturday he was in attendance at the game. In between the second and the third period, did he give you a resume?
He did not, but a guy came over to me. This is no kidding. At the end of the game, he said, "Do you really like Tennessee fan?" He said, "You know that guy's from Vandy, right? That Billy guy." And I said, "Yeah." And he said, "You're not going. You gonna bring him to Knoxville?" I said, I looked, and the guy was serious. I looked right at him and I said, "I don't think Billy could take the pay cut."
Oh, wow!
That's great.
Billy, did you hear that?
The pay
Tony, I don't think he's breaking the bank down here, Hoss. He's still in mom and daddy's house. He's still in his mom and daddy's house. And then yesterday, which I'm sure that he's still in the same room, but when he got off the air, he started playing Legos again like he was back when he was a child.
Well, I love Billy. Billy, I want you to know, I can't wait. I know that you guys are so frustrated I was saying this today on the air, and I mean this. As a Tennessee fan, it hurts my heart how bad Vanderbilt basketball is, how non-competitive it is, how they've just chosen as a school to not participate. Because that was when Tennessee and Vandy played, and I know they got Tennessee last year, but I want Vanderbilt to be good. I want that to be fun. I want that to be a robust rivalry. What are they doing? What is Vanderbilt basketball? What are they doing as an administration? Why wouldn't they try and compete in that?
Jerry Stackhouse, George said it yesterday, the longer they let this go on, the worse it's going to get. And, for the next guy that comes in now, he's kind of up a creek, right? I mean, it's, who wants to, it's still a good job, but it's not as good as it was, Tony, 10 years ago.
No, it's a good job, but yeah, I mean, and a Kevin Stallings, when he looks at that and goes, the guy's comment after the game the other day, well, they went out and they bought their players. It's like, dude, you're allowed to recruit.
Yeah.
Everybody's allowed to recruit. You can go try to find players, Chief.
He's full of excuses.
Is he going to get fired?
Hopefully at the end of the year, it does happen. I had suggested before the SEC started that they do it in hopes of maybe kickstarting something better. Now that the SEC started, it makes no sense to do anything until the end. But, he popped off at Ole Miss. At some point, his team is going to get tired of this, and they're going to go on the road and get ripped. And then you're really going to start to hear it. And at some point, then Candace Lee is probably going to be forced to react in some form or fashion. Hey, before you run, how can people hear you tonight after the game?
Yeah, so tclub.team, or you can check us out over on Twitter under my handle or X, whatever they call that, at Tony Basilio, and we run a Twitter Spaces thing. So, like, you can listen to what's going on in the background, and a lot of people listen to my show that way. And but we'll be on, after tonight's game, which 5 Eastern, 7 or so Eastern, we'll be on about 90 minutes or so, post-game show, taking calls, and you'll like this, George. So we've got this guy called Negative Dave that we call him, and he just can't wait to tear into Rick Barnes, And these guys love up here. I'm telling you, Rick Barnes has this weird relationship with Tennessee's fan base where a lot of people love him, and then he's got a lot of people who don't like him because he never wins a March, And
right.
So people have come to see him as sort of a Bobby Cox without the world championship. He's just a guy that teases people. That's how they see him. And so I keep telling them, there's a lot worse things that can happen in life than winning 24 basketball games a year and being in the top 10 all year and getting beat in March.
Under the category of be careful what you wish for.
You better believe it.
Yes.
So we'll be on tclub.team tonight when the game ends. And thanks, guys.
Come back to another game.
Hey, listen, I love that. My only request is we go as a radio family next time. Kelly and my boy Billy back there. My boy Billy and Kelly.
Hey, listen here, Tony. I'm not sitting with George, though. That's not happening.
Why?
You can sit up there with him if you want to, and you can hang out with him. I'm not.
Have you seen all the people that come up to the guy?
Yeah, I mean, I get he knows. Hey, when you go to his bowling tournament deal, his charitable deal, that is really cool. But it's like it's so frustrating to me. The first year I went, I'm like, George really does know all these people, and I was shocked.
And Tony, I'll get you my resume because I'm sick of working with Kelly.
Wow.
I like it.
Go play your Legos, Hoss.
Wow. Tony, we all just get along.
No kidding. See you next Tuesday.
Thank you.
Oh, he is terrific. It was fun being with him Saturday at the hockey game. We'll go to the break, and then we'll probably have the shortest segment in the history of segments in just a moment.
Hit After Hit has become the baseball store in Tennessee. They have over 1,000 different models of gloves and over 1,500 wood bats. They also have several Iron Mike pitching machines as well as a Hit Tracks machine. If they don't have it, you probably don't need it. We're proud to call Hit After Hit the official shirt provider of the Plaster and Friends Celebrity Bowling Night. Forget the fact that Sir Speedy Music City is owned by my BGA classmate James Warren. Their work stands on its own merit. James and his staff do incredible work, as evidenced by the huge banners at the Plaster and Friends Celebrity Bowling Night. If you're looking for quality to help your marketing and business communications, and you want it at a reasonable price, these are your folks. Call them at 615-832-9511 or go to print at sirspeedymusiccity.com. And be sure to tell them Plaz sent you.
Over the years, more men have started to seek help for hormone deficiencies and imbalances, and Dr. Jeffrey Lodge and wife Daphne, along with their experienced staff, give men the treatment required to improve their quality of life, improve your immune system, energy level, cognitive function, and more. There's no better time to achieve a healthy lifestyle. What are you waiting for? Give Cool Springs MD a call today for an appointment at 615-486-3458 or visit the website coolspringsmd.com. Hey, Billy.
Yeah.
Can we go ahead and do stat of the day?
We can.
You know, I mean, this is one of these deals where we get to make up our own rules. I mean, I feel really empowered here.
Oh, I'm sure you do. Let's do it. Stat of the day brought to you by John English Antique Sports and Cards. You can find them out in Shelbyville. They're open during the week, Tuesday through Friday, and Saturdays from 10 a.m. to 5. Give them a call, 931-492-4304. All right, we got a good one today. C.J. Stroud on Saturday became the youngest quarterback to ever win a playoff game. Who was previously the youngest quarterback to win a playoff game before Stroud?
Ooh. Okay, Kelly, we got a little extra time to think this one through.
Really, can I ask you a question?
Ask me?
Or yeah, I mean, Billy, I'm asking Billy. Billy,
Yeah.
is it like a not too long ago? Or is it long ago?
Let me see. I don't think it was that long ago. Let me get this answer up. Yeah, not too long ago. In the last, in the 2000s.
Okay, that eliminated a guess that I was going to have. So, Kelly, let's think about teams that have been perennial. By the way, the one I was going to go with was David Woodley with the Dolphins right before Dan Marino.
See, I was going to go Dan Marino.
Okay, and it wasn't that. So,
because he went to didn't Dan Marino go to the Super Bowl in his first year?
First or second year, yeah.
First or second, okay.
84. You may be right. So if it's been fairly recent, let's think through some of the teams that have been there a lot. I don't think it's Brady in New England. I know this ought to be obvious, and it doesn't appear to be. I don't think it's somebody from Dallas or Philly. Before Jalen Hurts, it was, heck, I don't even remember at this point.
So Billy said in the early 2000s, I like Don W's answer too, like Michael Vick. It wouldn't be Pat Mahomes, right?
Well, okay, Vic would have been, wow. This is a real stumper. Do we know the name, Billy?
Yeah.
I mean, you want me to reveal it?
Not yet.
I mean, is it like, it wouldn't be like Peyton. It would be Peyton, because Peyton didn't make I played with Peyton for 3 years, and we made it in my third year. Or was it our second year? No, the second year. He got drafted in '98. Man, I don't know, George. I'm stumped.
It's certainly not Drew Brees in New Orleans.
No.
I'm trying to think. Giants was Eli. I don't think it was. Well, I know it wasn't Eli.
No, it couldn't have been Eli because he made it later on in his career.
Yeah. Billy, we surrender.
Okay. Don was correct.
Oh, my God.
He was right. Michael Vick.
I'd love to know if Don did a little research.
I played one time to get to the playoffs, guys. And I've never – and we actually beat them. We had to beat them in Cleveland. And we beat them. But I saw that guy do one of the most unbelievable plays, make one of the most unbelievable plays I've ever seen in my life. He ran from sideline to sideline back to the middle of the field and then completed a pass. I mean, he was making our guys look foolish. It was silly what type of athlete he was.
Don says no Google here, so he did not look it up.
Yeah,
congratulations.
Don, he didn't like that accusation, Billy.
Congratulations to Don. We'll have to get him a prize.
Wow,
that's right. We need to start being able to phone a friend on this.
Well, yeah, that was in 2002, and apparently Stroud looked up to Vic when he was growing up. So pretty cool.
That's right. He brought up Vic, didn't he?
Yep.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, he said hopefully he can make it too.
Yeah.
Wow.
So is Taylor Barnett in the house?
There he is.
What's going on?
We don't have any posters, man. What's up?
I've ran out of pictures of George. I have to get him to send me a few. I don't know.
I'm shocked you had two.
Here's a picture for you. My imitation of Matt Patricia.
Wow. How long did that take you to figure out?
Don't be a hater, George.
Thinking that one through. So help me with this. I was watching yesterday, Taylor, the Marquette Villanova game, which was a day game, not only on Martin Luther King Day, but also in the middle of the snow, probably a lot of people at home. So they played a day game. And Villanova is not what they have been under Jay Wright. Clearly, there's been some slippage there. Marquette's pretty darn good. Where do you rate their conference?
I think that their conference, it's close to number one for me. I think the Big 12 is just a little bit better. But I think that the Big East is the second best conference. But it's close for first. And it is competitive. It has felt like the old Big East that I grew up watching more and more. Speaking of Villanova, yes, they're not as good as we're used to them being under Jay Wright. But the game has changed and the landscape has changed so much in college athletics with the portal and with NIL than when Jay Wright was the coach there. He built a culture. Now it's so hard to. But it's an awesome, grinded out, tough, hard playing dude conference.
But doesn't the grinded out part turn some people off?
I think it does. I think that's why some people like the NBA more than they do college basketball. I think the Big East is college basketball at its finest. If you want to go see a bunch of points scored, go watch the NBA. I think that's a little bit more your style. I love them both, but I do think there's something fun to be said about guys guarding and playing really, really hard. I think that's what college basketball is all about.
I want to talk to you about your alma mater, in this case, Belmont. Everybody was very excited when they went Missouri Valley Conference, and it's a move that makes a lot of sense. But it's also considerably harder than the Ohio Valley Conference. And over the weekend, they went to Indiana State and got beat by about 30, which Belmont is not used to. Taylor, what are they facing in the Missouri Valley that is so much better than what they used to deal with? My guess is you're going to tell me, well, first it's athleticism, but is there more to it than just that?
Yeah, for sure, athleticism. But I would say the number one thing, the difference, is pure physicality. Going back a few more games than that was the Southern Illinois game. And that Southern Illinois is so physical. They guard, I think, every game. The higher up you go, there's no nights off. I think in the OVC, there was a feeling that there's a couple nights off. No disrespect to anybody, but it's just a different level at the Missouri Valley. And the physicality is on a whole nother level. Refs aren't going to call everything. And guys are stronger. Yes, they're more athletic, but willing to be physical and put their bodies on the line. And there's a whole nother level of defense, a whole nother accountability to guard your yard in the Missouri Valley. And I think that's one of the biggest differences is just the physicality.
So Casey Alexander is no fool. He knew what he was getting into when he signed up for all this. What will it take for them to get toward the top of that league eventually, and can they stay there?
Yeah. I think, to be honest with you, I think they are amongst the top right now. I think that they took a huge blow when Jacoby Gillespie got hurt. He's out for a few weeks, and that really hurts. Obviously, they beat Drake without him, the first game without him. But there's like this weird thing that happens when maybe one of your best players, if not your best player, goes down, that the guys are just ready to go. It was a home game versus Drake. And then you go on the road to Indiana State, and you play a really good team. And Jacoby's just one of those guys that can go get you a bucket when you need it. And every team has to have one of those guys, and he's that for them. So I think that him getting hurt has really hurt them. He's probably been their most consistent player on the year. So they'll have other guys step up, but I think that they have the talent. And Coach Alexander's amazing. He can really, really coach, and he gets guys to come together and play the style that he wants them to play and puts them in the best position to win. So I think talent-wise, they are there. I think coaching-wise, they are there. I think that once they get Jacoby back, not saying they won't win without him because they already proved to have, but I think they are talent-wise and connected-wise towards the top of that league.
They've got Northern Iowa tomorrow night, 8 o'clock at the Curb Center. I want to go somewhere that we normally are not going to talk about, but Ron Bargatze had told me he was going to go last Thursday night, and I said, I'm in. I want to see Trevecca. And the job that guy right there in that picture has done, Kevin Carroll, it's unbelievable. They're 13-3 or 14-3. They're undefeated in their league. And while they're not going to get on ESPN, Taylor, they're pretty good.
They're really good. Yeah, Coach Carroll's done an awesome job. I know those guys love him and respect the heck out of him. And they've brought in a couple new guys, specifically, a kid named Jalen Page, who's really good. I mean, really, really good. He's a Division I player. They play really hard. They play together. They've just completely bought into how they Coach Carroll wants them to play. So I'm loving it for them. I think that they're just having the time of their life over there. And so I'm happy. Yeah, they're undefeated in league, got a great chance to win the league. I think they're on the road. They played them Thursday night at Ashland. So that'll be a good test for them, a good road environment. I know the last 4 games have been at home, so this will be a good test for them on Thursday night. But I'm so happy for those guys. They really are playing well.
Last Thursday night, it's the largest crowd I've ever seen there. So he's having an impact. It's immediate, and it's pretty obvious. They're pretty good. You could say the same thing at Lipscomb right now. They just got through on Saturday, sort of hammering Austin Peay in the second half en route to a double-digit win. That guy right there, Lenny Acuff, is another really good coach in our area.
Absolutely. going back to the Belmont Lipscomb game, I think that was one of the most entertaining basketball games I've seen in the last who knows how long. With Coach Alexander and Coach Acuff. I mean, it went down to the wire, and they both had 2 ATOs towards the end of the game that were just unbelievable. He's I think what is Coach Acuff in his 5th year at Lipscomb?
4th or 5th.
Well, yeah, it's 4th or 5th, and it's just like I think it's just a result of his character and just coming in every day and just watering the seeds that have been planted, and they're rolling. They're playing together. They play really hard. They've got Darion Boyd back from his thumb hand injury. I think that he takes them to a whole nother level talent wise. So I think they're going to win their league. I think Coach Acuff's tremendous. I think those guys are really connected.
Okay, Kelly, I need you to take it because my phone is saying low battery.
George, come into the 21st century, Hoss. Figure it out.
He's going to get a charger.
So, what makes Lenny Acuff good? I know that I know Will Pruitt. On the team, he's a really good basketball player, but he's just, he talks about he loves Lenny Acuff, man. What makes Coach Acuff so good?
Obviously, I didn't play for him, but I just the times I've been able to go to a practice or be around him and hear what the guys have to say, I think he just has a level of humility and respect for everybody. And, that goes a long way. I think that those guys, they understand that he views them as people, not just like a player that performs for him. I think he genuinely cares for them. And I think that saying of, guys don't care what you know until they know how much you care. I think he really does walk that walk, and it's very evident. And then I think he really knows what he's doing. He really does when it comes to basketball and strategy. And, I've heard it for years that NBA guys and other high major college coaches, when he was at Huntsville, are going down to watch his practice to put his offense in where they're at. So, I mean, he has a very high IQ for the game. And it's really impressive. And I think he's just a guy that really cares and shows respect and love to people.
I got you. What do you think about the young kid that's transferred into U2, the Connect kid? Have you been able to watch him? What do you think about his game?
Yes, I think he's awesome. I think he's exactly what Tennessee has been missing. I mean, I think he came off like 32 points and then 36 points the last couple of games.
Yeah, SEC Player of the Week. Yeah,
he's averaging like 31. In conference play so far, I think.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like Tennessee has struggled so much. Even watching that game on Saturday at Georgia, gritty win. I mean, they were scoring the ball like crazy in the first half. Then they go on this drought. Georgia goes up at 8 or something, and he just puts them on his back. I think it's what Tennessee over the last few years has been missing, a guy that can really make shots and score, because that's been their biggest struggle over the last few years. They're always going to be good defensively, but can they put enough points on the board? And I think he does that for them. He's an X factor. He's an alpha dog. I mean, he really is.
Taylor, what do you make? Let's stay in the state. What do you think about this Memphis team? They seem like they're pretty good.
They are. Yeah, I think that they've got experience. Quinterly is a great point guard, transfer from Alabama. Has hit like back-to-back game winners. I think David Jones is a really good player. I remember my first or second year at Louisville that he came in as a freshman at DePaul and had 30. I think he went from DePaul to St. John's, now to Memphis. He's a really good player. He can really score. So they've got guards that can put the ball in the hole. And man, that's going to take you a long way.
I saw. I'm with you on the Big East, man. I remember growing up watching the Big East, man, and watching Providence, and watching UConn and watching St. John's and all that. And I see UConn's back up to number 1. But talking with that, I'm going to take it another route because everybody thinks the ACC is the top conference in the country, and it seems to me, I mean, there's only 2 teams in the top 25, if I'm not mistaken. I mean, are they down this year? Is the ACC down this year a little bit?
Yeah, I think North Carolina and Duke are really good. North Carolina has a really good resume right now. I've been impressed with them. I'll be honest. I didn't expect them to be as good as they are. I mean, they beat Oklahoma. They won at Pittsburgh. They won at Clemson, which is a really hard place to play. So they've surprised me a little bit. Wake Forest has been good. Steve Forbes done a great job there. Florida State's won a couple in a row. Miami's really talented. I feel like they've lost a couple they shouldn't have. Virginia is not as good as I thought they were going to be. And so maybe it is a little bit down. I think the Big 12 and the Big East are really good, then probably the SEC and Big 10, then the ACC. But then again, like anybody can beat anybody. That's the way I feel. But overall, yeah, I do think the ACC might be a little bit down and a lot more even. It's pretty wide open. I thought Clemson was going to win it going into the year, but they've lost a few in conference already.
And and this is a hard question. I don't know. I mean, I don't know if you know, but you can give me some guys that you think maybe at the end of the year are deserving of the player of the year. I mean, we're coming into conference play right now. They've got a beginning of the season, and is there any guys that you've seen stick out there other than the big guy from Purdue? I mean, he's probably going to be the guy, but are there any other guys that really nobody knows about that could come on the scene and maybe get player of the year?
Yeah, that's a good question. Obviously, yeah, you named the obvious one, Zach Edey. He's been there a while. Kyle Filipowski at Duke is great. He's a second-year guy, decided to come back. Dayton's having a great year. Deron Holmes there is a really good player. RJ Davis in North Carolina can really, really score and is having an awesome year. And who else? I mean, Hunter Dickinson at Kansas. He's been a difference maker for them. Even his teammate, Kevin McCullough, has been great. Those guys are older, decided to come back. Alex Caravan and Tristan Newton, both on UConn's team. If I were going to talk about the Big East, give Big East guys a little credit. Both of those guys are really, really good players and were on the national championship last team. And I believe Alex Caravan was the Big East player of the year last year. So those would be some guys that come to mind.
Taylor, I want to go back to the SEC real quick. Missouri and Arkansas are really struggling. They're 0-3 both right now, and I think especially for Arkansas, people had a lot of high expectations for them. Thought they had a lot of talent coming into the season. I mean, they struggled out of the gate last year as well. Are you looking at it in a similar? Are they in a similar position as they were last year? Because this is pretty deep now into the season. I think for Arkansas, they got to get a win or two here to kind of get back on track because they have a ton of talent.
Yeah. I think weren't they picked like 3rd or 4th preseason SEC?
Yeah.
Which just goes to show like that stuff doesn't really matter. I don't know, man. I don't know what to think about Arkansas right now. It feels like last year's team was really, really talented, but they also came together and were connected. Right now, it feels like this is a talented Arkansas team that not everybody has accepted their role. And if that doesn't happen, I don't think you can be very good. You might have some guys that are really talented that may get drafted, maybe put up some good numbers, but you probably aren't going to win a lot of games. So I don't know. It can be hit or miss in this portal. It's like you think you got some good guys, then you got to get them to come together. So I mean, it could change. They could turn that thing around. But yeah, as of right now, it doesn't look like they're a very connected group.
You mentioned the portal, and I've got one more here for you before I close it out to George. You are a guy that transferred. Of course, the portal wasn't quite rocking and rolling, when you transferred. Number one, would you have liked playing in this portal era? And number two, put yourself kind of in the coach's shoes. Like, how would you approach it? If you would you go full on Chris Beard, and some of these other coaches that really attack the portal because they can? Or would you try to build more through high school? Because it feels like a lot of these coaches are trying to walk the line, and it's tough.
Yeah. Oh man, that's a loaded question. I think to answer your first question, I would have loved to play. I'd love to play college basketball again. Whether it's transfer portal era or not. I'd be happy to be playing.
Yeah.
But the second question, I think it's kind of twofold because it really depends on where you're at. You know, are you at an SEC school where you're going to have a collective that's going to give $5 million to buy your team? Because that's the reality of the situation. I don't know why Florida State's the only one that's getting penalized for pay for play in the name of NIL. But, but if you're at, a mid-major school that, you don't really have a collective, that's tough. So I think if I was, at a mid-major school, I'd only take a transfer if I lose a guy to the transfer portal and still go after high school kids, because I think that you can find some really good players that are being under recruited. And I think, I would try to do the same and to some degree at a high major level. And the difference at a high major level is that you're going to have guys that leave early to go to the NBA draft. So you might have a guy that has an unbelievable year that you weren't expecting, and you're not really recruiting a high school kid to replace him. Well, then he leaves because his stock went up, and now you got to replace him in the portal. So it kind of depends on where you're at, if that makes sense.
Jeff chimes in and says, Kentucky basketball is terrible defensively and rebounding. What do you say to that, Taylor? I know they did lose at A&M. What have you seen from the Cats these last few games?
Yeah, I could maybe understand his frustration, but I think they're really good. Obviously they were a great rebounding team last year because they had Oscar Tshiebwe, who was the best rebounder in the whole country. This year they didn't have any of their bigs. Aaron Bradshaw was out. The other kid was out, and then the 7'2" kid is still not eligible. Defensive, they're young. I think I said this before, like high schoolers, they don't really play defense. So when you have a bunch of freshmen in college, they're learning how to play defense. They're learning how to hey, defense is actually guarding your man and staying in front of the ball, not just getting a bunch of steals. And so I think, the rebounding piece, they'll figure it out. You got to block out. You got to go get the ball. It's a toughness thing. So, I think Kentucky's really good. I know they lost to A&M, but that was a great game. It's one of the better games I've seen this year. But that's going to happen. You're Kentucky. You're going to get everybody's best. Look at that, man. That's what I need.
Taylor, notice that whatever we're calling this has headphones on.
It does. Yeah, it does. What year was that?
It's been a while, I think. Anyway, just wanted you to feel at home. Thank you for taking the time to be with us.
Yeah.
And we'll do it again next Tuesday.
Appreciate you guys. Have a good rest of the day.
See you, Taylor.
See you, Taylor.
See you, buddy.
What do you think there, Kelly?
I think that needs to go in the trash and never be seen again is what I think.
Like this?
Exactly. We'll let it go.
Hey, we'll go to the break, and when we come back, we'll get knee-deep into some NFL stuff. Phone is charging. We're ready to rock and roll.
The George Plaster Show is Nashville's best sports talk, 2 to 4 p.m. Monday through Friday on Twitter, Facebook, and YouTube. There's a podcast version available on Spotify and Apple Podcast.
As the trusted premier custom home builder in Middle Tennessee, Donnelly Timmons has over 20 years of experience in the industry. Whether you're looking to build your dream home or renovate your current home, their team will ensure that every client and every remodel is unique, luxurious, and completed on time within budget. Founders Dustin Timmons and Joey Donnelly have over 25 years of construction experience in the Nashville area. Together, they have completed projects in Forest Hills, Oak Hill, Green Hills, Franklin, and Brentwood. Dustin and Joey believe that communication is the most important aspect of all construction projects. Therefore, they personally manage each project themselves and are involved in job site activities on a daily basis. Their commitment to quality and integrity has earned them an outstanding reputation among their clients. Contact them to set an appointment for a free consultation or to view some of their completed projects. Give them a call at 615-456-7983 or log on to DonnellyTimmons.com.
Hit After Hit has become the baseball store in Tennessee. They have over 1,000 different models of gloves and over 1,500 wood bats. They also have several Iron Mike pitching machines as well as a Hit Tracks machine. If they don't have it, you probably don't need it. We're proud to call Hit After Hit the official shirt provider of the Plaster and Friends Celebrity Bowling Night.
Forget the fact that Sir Speedy Music City is owned by my BGA classmate James Warren. Their work stands on its own merit. James and his staff do incredible work, as evidenced by the huge banners at the Plaster and Friends Celebrity Bowling Night. If you're looking for quality to help your marketing and business communications, and you want it at a reasonable price, these are your folks. Call them at 615-832-9511 or go to print at sirspeedymusiccity.com. And be sure to tell them Plaz sent you.
You know, starting to save for your future doesn't have to be difficult. Let Wilson Bank and Trust help tone up your financial goals this year. Our certificates of deposits or CDs can help your money work harder with our competitive rates, earning you more than ever before. WBT checking options allow you to earn rewards you can really use, like a high interest rate or cash back on check card purchases when you meet some e-banking qualifications. Visit your closest Wilson Bank and Trust office or online at wilsonbank.com to get started today. Member FDIC.
Venture Express has been helping people in this area for more than 40 years. They're headquartered in Murfreesboro with over 30 years of dedicated fleets involving production, manufacturing, and corrugated experiences. They're an asset-based company with over 700 tractors, 4,000 trailers, and 800 drivers. If you need their help, dial them up 615-793-9500 or log on to ventureexpress.com. Okay, let's talk a little NFL. Billy, is the Mike Tomlin clip available?
Yes, it is.
Watch closely.
Mike, you have a year left on your contract.
Kelly, what do you make of that?
I love that. I really do, but I don't know what I make of it. I mean, it wouldn't have been hard to say we just got off the field. I'm not ready to answer that. You know, you guys have been right on all this stuff, man. Y'all talked about Bill Belichick. I've been wrong on all of it. So y'all think there could be a possibility of Mike Tomlin. I can't. The guys, I don't know, man. He had a great quarterback to begin his coaching career in Ben Roethlisberger, and he stayed with him for so many years. And now, I mean, they're putting they're hedging all their bets on Kenny Pickett. I'm just not sold on that. They brought in Mitch Trubisky, who's, he was a number one pick. Was he number one or number two for Chicago Bears? He just hasn't panned out. I didn't think he was very good coming out of college, but he can throw the ball through a wall. He's got this presence, whatever they say, and I don't know. And now they got Mason Rudolph, and I think Mason Rudolph deserves a shot to become the starter next year. I really do. I mean, he played his way into that. He played pretty good last night, and he was getting harassed by a Buffalo defense. He was standing in that pocket, and he was making throws, and nobody thought when they went to Orchard Park that Pittsburgh would have even a shot. And they got that thing down to one score last night. So I don't know what I think about Mike Tomlin's deal. I don't know what I think about that. I think I would like to have done that too. Just walk out, because I'm not going to listen to that right now. Everybody wants to talk about that. We just finished an NFL game. We lost, but I think he has lost 5 straight seasons in a row in the playoffs. I don't know if it was 5 straight, but I know the 5 last times that they played in the playoffs, they've been beaten. So obviously you're going to have speculation there, but the guy's never had a losing record, and he had to battle this year with a team that wasn't very good, and his number one player went down with injury in the last game of the season and couldn't play yesterday. So I think the guy, I mean, if he gets fired or if he gets let go, I mean, he'll be gobbled up the same day by somebody.
I don't know. Yeah, I don't know that he will be fired. Jay Glazer had a report. Apparently, Glazer's really close with Tomlin, that he might consider just stepping away, retiring. That clip right there tells me, Kelly, that he's not comfortable with the topic. He could, like you said, he very easily could have just said, not answering that question right now. What else you guys got? But that tells me that something's brewing here.
You may be right.
Really, let me say this. Tomlin catches a lot of heat in Pittsburgh, and I think most of it is unwarranted. First of all, I think he did the best coaching job maybe he has ever done to get this bunch in the playoffs. And if they're not happy with him, let him get on the open market. It'll be like that.
Yeah.
And I really don't think it's that. I mean, I think they like Tomlin. I think it's really up to him. Does he want to kind of step away? We'll see.
Could be. I don't know, man. I'd heard a little bit about that. Maybe that's what he's upset about. Maybe he just, like you said, Billy, he don't want to go there. He knows that I need some time off. And even Louis Riddick said it, this morning on ESPN. Nick Saban was talking about the grind of the season. And once you get a little bit older, the grind starts becoming more and more. It takes a toll on your body. You don't get as much sleep. He's like, when I was coaching, I could go to bed at 2:00 in the morning after doing all my work and wake up at 6 and I could be fine. He's like, you just can't do that. And maybe that's maybe Tomlin's hit a wall.
Billy, do we have the Jalen Hurts clip available?
We do.
This is him last night being asked about Nick Sirianni.
You want Nick back? You want Nick back?
I didn't know he was going anywhere.
Well, obviously a lot of question about whether.
I didn't know that.
You didn't know that?
Nah.
Where's your confidence level in him then to fix this team?
I have a ton of confidence in everyone in this building. It's just a matter of us going out there and playing clean football. And that's been something that we have not done.
Kelly, that locker room needs a psychiatrist. There's something going on there.
Well, and I wouldn't be a bit surprised what I said in the opener, man. I mean, the guy that left here, I mean, I think that he would be hard to deal with. I know people were upset, and he's one of the best players in the National Football League. But I'm going to tell you, being a quarterback, I literally about got in a fight on the sidelines against the Texans one time when this guy kept coming up, and I'm not going to tell you his name, but he kept coming up to me and he's like, give me the ball, give me the ball. Then I threw him the ball, and it was right here. He drops it, it pops up in the air, and they pick it off. And me and him, like, I would have got my butt whipped, but I was about to fight him on the sideline. I really was. And you're right, George. There's something going on. There's something that's underlining. There's something going on in that locker room, man. I don't know if the guys just quit because they like the defensive coordinator and they didn't like when Sirianni put Matt Patricia in charge. Maybe that was the deal. Maybe that's why they just said, "Hey, man, we're done with this." Maybe that's it.
Well, like Tony said.
Okay.
Real quick. Go ahead, George.
Well, we're down to 8 on the playoffs, and let's take a quick look at what Vegas thinks about this weekend.
You see that?
You got to help me there, Billy. I'm having a hard time seeing that.
Baltimore -9 over Houston.
Kelly, there's a C.J. Stroud factor here that, there's no question that Baltimore is the better team on paper.
You're right.
There's also a C.J. Stroud factor that makes me say, I'm not sure.
9 points is an awful big spread to give to a team that's in a divisional round of the playoffs. I mean, it really is. And I think, unfortunately for Titans fans and that are watching this, you're going to have to deal with C.J. Stroud for a long time if he doesn't have any injuries. Guy's really good. He's got great touch on the ball. He's heady. He plays beyond his years right now. And if Baltimore does not now Baltimore, you're playing at home. That's a tough place to play. I played there. I played against Ray Lewis and those guys, and that's a tough place to play. But if they can't get pressure on him and they let him sit back there and throw the ball, it'll be a game.
Next, San Fran -10 against Green Bay.
Well, let me ask this question. Okay, Vegas is giving San Fran all the props here, but is it possible that Jordan Love can do some of the same things for the 49ers that he did to Dallas?
It's possible. Anything's possible. I don't think, whereas you look at, Dallas's defense, I think that San Francisco's defense is way better against the run. And I think they've got two dominant pass rushers. Now, I mean, Dallas does too. Micah Parsons, the Lawrence guy, he's pretty good. But, you got Nick Bosa and you got Chase Young. And then you got Fred Warner in the middle. They just are completely a different football team defensively, I think. I don't think they're going to be able to run the ball like they did against Dallas. Dallas could not – they're just not very good against the run. And Matt LaFleur knew that going into the game, so that was his game plan. We're going to run the football at them. We're going to use heavy play action, and that's what happened. But Jordan Love's he's a good player too, man. You talk about C.J. Stroud. Jordan Love, it's amazing. I'm going to say it over and over again. They've had Brett Favre, Aaron Rodgers, and now they got Jordan Love. And it's kind of amazing that they've had that much quarterback success in Green Bay, but the way they played the other day against Dallas, I mean, I don't think you can count them out. And with the youngness of their football team, George, they're going to be here for many years to come.
You got that right. Now,
up next,
Sunday games, I feel like I know a little something. Detroit at home, 6-point favorite over Tampa. Can Tampa really do this twice? I don't think so. I think Detroit got a huge break to get a second home game thanks to the Cowboys.
Aiden Hutchinson said he said it in one of his press conferences after the game, said that they were looking forward to playing the Cowboys again. But I don't know if Baker can go up there and do what he did against the Detroit Lions in Detroit. That place has gone further than they've ever gone. I mean, there's people in the stands that have never seen Detroit make it to the second round of the playoffs, let alone make it into the playoffs. So that place is going to be loud. Tampa's pretty good defensively now. They can get after you. They've got one of the fastest linebackers in the world in Devin White. That guy, I saw him in the Super Bowl make a play that I just couldn't believe that a linebacker, made. And T. Bowles, if you watched the game last night, he's going to dial up pressure on Jared Goff. That's his MO. That's what he does. And Jared Goff is not the most elusive guy in the pocket. So he's going to he's going to throw the kitchen sink at Jared Goff, but I just don't think they can do it. I'm with you. I don't think they can do it twice.
Kelly, your old buddy Tom Moore was right.
What did Tom say?
Remember, you told us that he told you that the Eagles got a lot of locker room problems, and my gosh, was he right about the way the Bucs just walloped them. Oh,
yeah, absolutely. Yeah, Tom's been around this league for a long time, man. He knows the ins and outs. He knows what's going on, and one of the better football coaches I was ever around. Oh, Tom Moore, man. 1, 2, 3, throw it in the stands.
All right.
Okay, the last one, Billy. I want you to mark this down. Buffalo at home, 2.5 over Kansas City. First of all, Buffalo has run into Kansas City way too many times and had their heart ripped out as they were on the cusp of the Super Bowl. Now the role gets reversed, and Buffalo's the home team. So remember, you heard this on Tuesday. Take Buffalo minus the 2.5. They're going to win. They're better than Kansas City.
I'm marking it
Certainly
down.
hope so. I certainly hope so. I mean, I don't know if y'all know this. Did y'all know that this is the first time that Patrick Mahomes has not played at home in a playoff game?
I heard that.
Do you think that's a big deal?
In the NFL playoff, absolutely. It's a huge deal. I mean, because home field advantage in the National Football League, it's not like that in basketball. I mean, you could go into a place and it gets loud, but the communication is so imperative in the National Football League. When you go to a place and a team, a crowd actually knows when to cheer and when to not, and they all do now. When you're on offense and you're in a different place in a playoff game, I can't even explain to y'all how loud that is, guys. And if you don't take them out of the game early, it's an all-day sucker, man. And it's tough to play. And I'm for my Bills, man. But until you beat the Kansas City Chiefs, I think they matched up together 6 times, and I think it's 3-3 for Josh Allen and Patrick Mahomes. But he hadn't been able to beat him in the playoffs. So this is huge for Western New York. This is huge for Buffalo. And man, I'm putting go Bills, go Bills.
This has to be a must-win for Josh Allen. I mean, this is as close as it gets. You know, like you said, George, his heart and that city's heart has been ripped out by Mahomes and Kelsey. And if they do it again, you know, there was already some talk, some murmurs about Josh Allen. And now he's fine. Obviously, he's amazing. But I don't know. I think about this game and I go, man, this is a must win. At least I think.
I like
wall.
I like what Nate Burleson said on the was the CBS broadcast. I like what he said. He talked about that he played hero ball. Josh plays hero ball sometimes, and that was a good description of him. And when he doesn't play hero ball and when he just lets the game come to him, he's a really good quarterback. But then in certain situations, he feels like he's got to do too much. And when he just plays the game and let the game come to him instead of forcing the issue, he's really good. But when he gets down, he's trying to make everything up in one play. And you just can't do that, especially in the playoffs. And that's how Joe Burrow and them went up there last year and beat him, because Joe Burrow knows how to play that game. He dinks and dunks, and then he takes his shot. And then you get up on Josh Allen, you get up on the Buffalo Bills, and they want it so bad. Josh Allen wants it so bad. The city of Buffalo wants it so bad that they start trying too hard, and he starts playing hero ball. And you just can't do that.
No, don't count Casey out, because
no, absolutely not.
They just played in negative 27-degree wind chill, so they're not. It helps them. I'm sure if they would have played in Miami, they might have won anyway. But I mean, they played at home. They're used to the cold. So I just look at this. The Bills, they got to have this one.
Billy, get ready. You'll see that one again on Friday. Take Buffalo minus 2.5.
I'll be ready.
After the break, a couple of plaster bets of the day this evening in college basketball, one of which you will not agree with.
You were in a crash.
Yeah.
Your kids were in a car with you.
We're very lucky to even be telling this story to you. Nikki treated us like family, and she was very caring and loving, and I'm just so grateful for that. She was somebody I could trust, and being a veteran, that's so important to me. My kids are going to have a better life now because I don't have to worry about those expenses that we were out. Your family has really created a legacy of trust, and I would recommend you to anyone.
Star Physical Therapy was established in 1997 with one great mission: to serve. If you're hurting, don't wait to receive physical therapy. You don't need a referral to see their physical therapist, and early morning and evening appointments are available. Make the call to 615-673-1420 and get rid of that pain. Star Physical Therapy, the official health provider of Football Friday.
Convenience and value, 2 words that we expect when we do business. Our goal at JHA Company is to deliver just that. both to our school partners and to our customers. Whether you're purchasing photos, yearbooks, class jewelry, letter jackets, school spirit wear, or senior graduation products, we strive to make the experience easy, convenient, and cost-effective. Find out more at jhacompany.com or call 615-867-6345 for more information. JHA, one source, one company.
Final segment on a Tuesday. Tennessee and Florida coming up here in about 15 minutes from Knoxville. Be interested to see the crowd, what that looks like out there in East Tennessee. We got some other college basketball games tonight. We'll see where Georgia's going. But first, Bart Durham injury log. Give him a call, 615-242-9000, or log on to bartdurham.com. First, let's check out what happened last night. Tampa Bay, boom, +3. Georgia, you just muted yourself, so go ahead and unmute. This is going to be tough.
He doesn't know how to do that.
No, I'm surprised we've had him on for as long as we have.
I just heard him.
He's going to have to do some sign language.
I got a good sign language for him.
Kelly, what do you think about this win? I'm going to try to get him on the phone, connect that way.
I don't know, but it's been a while since I've seen George with a losing record.
That's true. I mean, we had to sit here.
He has not started off well this year, Billy.
No, we had to look at that winning record the whole time last year. George, are you there?
I am, Billy. Don't know what happened. We'll get it all figured out by tomorrow. Purdue is a huge favorite tonight at Indiana. Assembly Hall will be a difficult place. I don't think Indiana pulls an upset, but I do think they covered the 9.5. So I'm going Hoosiers in a really hostile environment. That's a 6 o'clock tonight and will be a really fun game to watch. The other one is simply two really good teams going at it in the Big 12. Kansas State's the home team. They're a 1.5 favorite over Baylor. Actually, they're a 1.5 dog over Baylor. I'm taking Kansas State. They're really good.
Okay.
Hey,
book it. See if we can end the show a little bit better tomorrow.
Yeah,
George.
Sorry
George,
for the don't really know.
This is a good picture.
Don't really know what happened, but we will figure it out tomorrow.
It's a good picture.
George, you got to figure this out. You got to get it. You got to get in with the times, man. Let's go.
Kelly, thanks for your positive reinforcement.
I'll let y'all.
Is this where we say goodbye?
Yes, it is.
Thank God. See you tomorrow.
See ya.